This is it. This is the beginning of CarniVLOG number 32, and I just went to back. This is it. I'm not starting over. Look, do you like my cleaning cart? Isn't that cute? It's literally like what they have. These two coats need to go on our brand new coat rack. Look, you guys, we're getting so organized around here. Okay, this is literally the same kind of cleaning cart from like a hotel. Oh my gosh, I love this thing. I've had this for a long time now. I just love that thing. Where was I? So, you guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and start this CarniVLOG now, even though I just went back to watch this big long intro that I made that was already intro to, because you'll hear me say, I had no intention of putting out a vlog today. I was gonna vlog my way to like 2023 and then put out a big long like 2-hour vlog that, like, anything longer than that, my phone would probably make me break it up. It's so cumbersome. This is not my favorite thing to do, all this digital stuff. So I had already had a 25-minute clip that I just deleted because I really want to share what I recorded this morning that was going to be the center, or at least even just like a chunk of CarniVLOG number 32 that I was going to share with you in January. So I just now re-recorded that whole 25-minute thing, just like hitting some highlights. One major highlight is the video linked below. Steak and belly gout. You're a genius. You're brilliant. You're so good. And one thing I failed to say in intro number 2 that you're about to see is steak and butter gal. She is absolutely super intelligent. And this is what I said once before. Listen to how she describes things. Listen to how she observes. She's so observant. She's highly intelligent. Her and her boyfriend both. And like I said once before that you'll never hear because I deleted it. If you don't believe me, just listen to how she plays piano. She's so talented. Okay, here's why I'm making this right now. This intro to my intro. You guys, just bear with me. Holy moly, I had so much stuff in my teeth. And let me tell you what it was. It was brown. There's probably still more. So much. One big brown chunk way up high. You can see how high my receding gums are. I have terrible receding gums on, just take my word for it. But you guys, yes, it's a little bit embarrassing to show you. But it's even funnier to think I just had these 2 Mennonite girls here with me and they didn't say anything. I mean, it wasn't like a piece of pepper in my teeth. It was like, did she just eat a handful of mud? What is in her mouth? I kind of did. Butter egg coffee, you guys. My butter egg coffee was so good. And I was saving some for later. So I'm not going to delete it. You're about to see it. Just ignore it. Okay? All right? We've been together for a long time. I'm not re-recording all that. No. I have like an hour before I have to pick up kids. And there's 1,000 things I'd rather do than talk to my phone. Okay? Enjoy. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a faithful follower of Christ. I am addicted to sugar and flour and binging. And we had some trees taken down, yay. All right, let me explain. This is CarniVLOG number 32. I did, like I've done so many times, and so naively thought that I was going to vlog for like 3 months and then finally string it all together, which I love the idea of that. I love the idea of like vlogging and then putting out a vlog and showing how much progress I made over 3 months. It's very motivating to me to think about some big reveal of like how far I've come in my journey, but there's logistics there involved. And the logistics are then I have to literally store and organize so much data on my phone, little video clips, pictures, all sorts of stuff I wanted to show, I knew I would want to show. No, it's just not feasible for me. I have to like delete stuff off my phone. I don't want to have to like figure out what I can delete and what I can't delete. And we have so many things coming up that I know we're going to take a lot of pictures of, like the final court hearing with these 2 little boys. They want to have a big party at Chuck E. Cheese. They're so excited to have our last name. And one of them has a birthday coming up, and apparently we're going bowling. I don't even know. I mean, I just am going to be using this phone that's in my hand for so much, and I don't want to have to keep track of all this. So I am telling you right now, what you're about to hear is what I thought was going to be kind of the middle chunk or the second quarter or like a big chunk of CarniVLOG number 32. Nope, it's going to be CarniVLOG number 32. Stress and Cocoons. And so what I did was I took the first 25 minutes that I recorded yesterday, which was some good stuff, and I just deleted it. It felt so good. I told my mom, it's like how cathartic it is, how helpful it is to go ahead and write out a letter, but then don't mail it, burn it, right? Or text that person you're wanting to text and give them a piece of your mind. I heard a comedian or somebody say once, don't give people pieces of your mind. You won't have very many pieces left. Anyways, my mom and I were saying, it's like you type that long text out and then don't really send it. Well, I just made this awesome vlog for you guys yesterday. I thought it was awesome. Really analyzing some stuff from my childhood. Doesn't that sound fascinating? And bragging about Bella the Steak and Butter Gal's most recent video that was totally made for me. She talks about the stressors like fasting, like cold weather, like restricting calories, and how stress on top of stress on top of stress is, it's gonna send us into the keto carnivore flu. Feeling bad. Anyways, such a good video. She also talked about, let me think. You know what? I'm gonna link the video below. It's so excellent. I sent it to Audrey and just said, excellent, excellent, excellent. It's her helping her boyfriend through the carnivore keto flu from feeling bad. Oh my gosh, I know. It's the combination of withdrawal plus electrolyte imbalances. You guys, this is just such good stuff. It's so practical. It's like one of my top 3 carnivore videos ever now, because it's so practical. And I got off of there and I made the most delicious meal. I think I deleted all the pictures of it. All right, here's what I want you to picture. Ground beef that I seasoned myself. I make my own taco seasoning. If you want the recipe, ask me, I'll put it below. Maybe. No, I won't. I'll just take a picture and I'll make a video. How's that? I'll make a video of the taco seasoning I make. I don't, you can Google it. But anyways, ground beef, taco seasoned. And then I covered it in, thanks to Steak and Bella Gal, I covered it in a sliced avocado and 3 poached eggs and went out in a bunch of butter. Oh, it was so good. It was such a feast. And I needed that feast because October was tumultuous, okay? I'm working on getting through withdrawal. And I can tell I need to feed and nurture and nourish myself and not come up with arbitrary rules about when I'm gonna eat and how much I'm gonna eat. Yes, what I'm gonna eat matters, but when and how much, I want to err on the side of energy. And it was such good energy yesterday. This video is so excellent. I want to get bone broth, and I want to get make little meatballs and then pour egg into it like she did to make like egg drop noodle meatball soup. So good. What I touched on in the first half of what CarniVLOG number 32 is going to be, and by the way, again, I was not even going to put CarniVLOG number 32 out until like January. That's such a joke. Such a joke. And it's been nice being off YouTube. it's been nice being off YouTube. And for me, being off YouTube sometimes just means, you know, I just don't post daily because it's so good for me to have privacy and kind of fumble my way through this life. But there's some stuff I just wanted to show you all. Some strategies in place, an app that I've been using, and a couple hauls, an Amazon haul and a Redmond Real Salt haul. So what I'll do is I'll just instead of telling you, I had told y'all all about it in these clips that I deleted. I'll just show them to you when they come in town. Some behavioral modification, behavioral management stuff that I'm using, just little beads and whatnot, like fun little way to string days together. It's an app I'm using. I Am Sober. I highly recommend it. I found out on the app you can customize it, and you can not only change like the color scheme, but you can change the little mantra at the top of your ticking clock. And mine, I had just enough space, and I went into this on in what I already deleted. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but you have not heard me say. I had just enough space to say my mantra. It was like a generic, just encouraging phrase, but my mantra is, you cannot do this. Stop trying. Galatians 2:20 with an exclamation mark. And after that exclamation mark, I was out of character. So it was like perfect. I had just the right number to put that up there. And the sweet, awesome, beautiful, lovely irony about telling myself, you cannot do this, is exactly my whole point in that sermon that I preached, that I did make available on my channel a couple of videos ago. I said, I unexpectedly wrote and preached a sermon today. Well, it was about Isaiah 64:8, that God is the potter, we are the clay. And the clay cannot sculpt itself. We cannot dig ourselves out of holes that we gleefully ran into. I've been struggling with sugar lately, but it's kind of like that. I've heard comedians say, I don't have a problem with alcohol. I love alcohol. I've been struggling with sugar, and trust me, it has not been much of a struggle to get it to go down. It's been delicious and fun. If it weren't, I wouldn't struggle with it. So anyways, the whole point is we can't do it. We can't fix ourselves. We can't sculpt ourselves. We need the Holy Spirit. And the 9th fruit of the Spirit is self-control. So I surrender. I'm going to quit working so hard and start focusing my efforts on surrendering and staying Galatians 5:25, in step with the Holy Spirit. I think that's about it. When I get my Redmond Real Salt haul, I'm going to have a giveaway. Don't get too excited. I'm going to give away something that costs $1.60, maybe 2 of them. That would be $3.20 total. But anyways, it's just something cute, and it's a fun way to make tangible contact with people all over the United States of America. I need to make that clear. No offense if you're overseas. I love you dearly, but I'm not going to mail you salt. I did recently. It was a very neat experience. Hi, Joy Joy. Hi, Jonna. I sent a sweet girl a Bible, some highlighters, some tabs, a Bible cover, and pins. I mailed all that to the Philippines. Amazon mailed it for me. It was very interesting trying to put that address in my Amazon account. I did that Bible giveaway, and then I got a sweet email from a sweet girl, and I mailed her a Bible, and she's got it, and I pray that she is able to pass that beautiful Bible on to her babies and grandbabies someday, and the Lord will continue to bless her family. I think that's about it. What I was going to tell you, high school. I was a comedian. People used to say, you ought to be a stand-up comedian. And that felt like a lot of pressure. So I would tell them, if I'm standing and you're laughing, I am a stand-up comedian. But I noticed that, oh, and I've also had people, a lot of people when I was younger say, you should be a motivational speaker. And again, pressure to like literally start up some career that, look, I'm surrounded by trees. Hello out there. There's just no big crowds of people where I live. Pressure. When people are like, you missed your calling. You ought to be a motivational speaker. I said, well, if I'm speaking and you're motivated, then I am a motivational speaker. So I just want to be a wife and a mom, and I'm happy. I'm so happy being a wife and a mom and living in the country, not the city. No offense, city folks. But here's what I would notice. As a kid, I would basically perform and then come home and feel so lonely. And when people talk about being a stand-up comedian, I started to notice different stand-up comedians overdosing on drugs, committing suicide, having these very tumultuous lives that just seem so sad. And while they might be like super funny, they were lonely, and it was apparent, and they were honest about it, and they weren't in good relationships, and they were always making themselves out to be the punchline. So I just decided years ago, I don't want to do that. I don't want to perform and then come home and feel sad and lonely. So I still enjoy making people laugh, especially my kids. We have a great time. But looking back, I can see that a lot of that was social anxiety. And I was an introvert with very extrovert sort of tendencies, but I was much more comfortable on stage than I was one-on-one with people, which is why, and here's my whole point, which is why, look, here's this guy from South Africa that works on the farm. I don't want him to see me vlogging like an idiot. Social media, I just can't get enough. Actually, that's not true. This is my only form of social media. I am 13 years sober off Facebook. Never dipped my toe into anything else. No thanks. No thanks. This is why this relates. There'd be 15 or 20 of us getting ready to go out. We'd all meet at my house. There's a bunch of us. It was like a caravan of cars. And I would stuff myself, I would binge right before they got to my house. Usually on potato chips, knowing we're getting ready to go out to eat. I did this to stuff down the feelings of nervousness, but also to get high, just to be, it was so interesting to me. You know, I in college learned how to observe behavior professionally, but I was very interested in my own behavior as a kid. I was like, why do I stuff myself right before? It's not an hour before, it's like I could see a pattern. It's right when they were about to pull my driveway. Well, by the time they got there, I was so calm and relaxed and funny and ready to perform. Because I just stuffed myself with refined carbs. So I was literally high. Anyways, my point is, this ain't my first rodeo. But I am happy to find ways to manage addiction. And I have a couple strategies up my sleeve. So when they come in the mail, I'll show you my hauls. Okay? You can just look forward to that. And again, one of you, US citizens, are going to be the proud winner of something that costs $1. That's it. Enjoy CarniVLOG number 32. My deep thoughts about stress and cocoons. And again, like my channel says, life is a process. Let's process it together. I believe we're supposed to. All right, that's it. Bye. CarniVLOG number 32 continued. I have pulled over on this little spot. This is sort of a sacred spot for me. Anybody remember when I used to, oh my gosh, through the month of October, November, I was like uploading daily, showing you my bright line eating. This is gonna be quick, hopefully. There's 2 Mennonite girls coming to my house today to help me survive my life. And I want to help them survive, helping me survive my life. So I want to get home to help them help me. I want to talk about stress and cocoons. Number 1, stress. The poop emoji hit the fan last night. But I'm glad it did. I'm glad it got to that point. Sometimes things need to get to a point, a turning point, if you will. So, holy moly, the stress, the exhaustion coupled with anger. I was so livid. And I made it known. Still in my mind, because these are not children that grew in my womb. You know, still definitely with an acute awareness of my own actions and how do I want to handle this and how much of this anger do I want to express and in what ways do I want to express it. So it's like, you know, we're constantly doing calculus. It's how we don't get hit by cars. And when we make mathematical errors, that's how we do get hit by cars. But we're constantly calculating all sorts of stuff with regards to depth perception. And here comes a car, but at what rate is it traveling? And I'm about to cross the street, and at what rate am I going to travel? And are we going to collide? We're constantly calculating. And I do the same thing when I am interacting with my children, especially these 2 brand new ones. And I purposely, intentionally allowed them to see and experience some of my wrath last night. I need them to understand how serious some things are. And then I put everybody to bed. And I went upstairs and took a deep breath. I cried after the anger peaked, and then I experienced tension release, which is all part of crisis prevention training that I've been part of. I can observe it in myself where the tension rises and then it releases, and it's in that period afterwards where a kid calms down and finally cries that you can get through to them. I calmed down and finally, it was like, come on, tears, come on, tears, come on, tears. Susan Miller, I know you get this. It's like, come on, tears, will you just flow? And they did. I got them to flow, texting my mother and explaining all this to her and telling her, that's what I explained. That's what I said to her. And she was like, whoa, Emily, I'm praying for you. Get a good night's sleep. You know, like, oh my gosh. So I shared all this with her. But I cried. Now, I would like to stop here for a moment and say that what I was texting to my mom was, sometimes I just miss my life before April 24th. Sometimes I just hate parenting an entire group of children, which is what I'm doing. I have 5 little elementary kids, and they're together all the time, and they get along so well, and they're so sweet. And these new boys, my husband said the other day, do they complain about that? I said, Greg, they complain about nothing. They backtalk to me about nothing. They're grateful for everything. They are hands down the sweetest, the most wholesome. Trust me, a lot of the jokes we crack make them blush. Bathroom humor. They're getting used to it. Actually, they're coming along nicely. Oh my gosh, the sweetest, the most wholesome, and hands down the most grateful human beings I've ever encountered in my life. So trust me, I am not dealing with kids that used to be in my classroom. But I'm still parenting this little litter of puppies, which oftentimes, I was explaining at church last night, I got there early, the kids were gonna go play outside. And then the director was like, no, let's don't have him go play outside because we're about to eat. I was like, girl, I get that. Because then it's like, if you loosen up the ends and a few here, a few there, then you got to gather them and you got to channel all that energy again. And I said, look, that's my house. That's my life. I'm constantly channeling energy. Come on, let's go this way. Take all that energy you have and put it towards this. Or do whatever you want with it. I'm going to go sleep and try and gain some of that energy. But I told her last night, I said, it's sort of, and I'm jokingly saying this, but it is stressful. I said, I sort of feel like I'm parenting a school of fish. I get 5 kids to school, 5 kids to church, 5 kids to bed, 5. My teenagers are like, peace, we're out. And I'm like, you got the credit card? Feed yourself. Anyways, I was texting my mom saying, I hate it. I just feel like I can't get him to school fast enough. And I can't get him to church fast enough. And I can't get him to bed fast. That's false. That's not true. These kids are making major gains. And it's because I'm not rushing. Don't get me wrong. We move at a steady clip. But I absolutely take the time and am aware that it is these pivotal, powerful moments where I can teach and train in the moment. Daniel said one day, he said, I love how we talk through things. People say parenting is a thankless job. It's not if you're raising Daniel, because Daniel actually thanks me. He thanks me for his routines. He thanks me for taking the time to talk through things. He thanks me for his new diet. He loves eating so much meat. I literally get thank yous, you guys. If that's not a God thing, if that's not God, like, Emily, I'm going to try and help you keep going. So I'm going to have these kids thank you for some stuff that you've never been thanked for before. Where was I? I'll be the first to pat this back. You go, girl. You go, girl. I take the time to teach and train. I take the time to work through things as they arise. They're not going to end up fully functional, handsome. My goodness. I was helping Houston with his belt this morning. I said, oh, I know what this is. You're trying to get a girlfriend. He cracked up. That kid with his little shirt tucked in with his belt and his boots clanking around the house because his boots kind of have a heel. What in the world? They're so cute. I'm just so proud of them. Actually, I'm amazed at their cuteness. And Daniel like turns around to walk away from me sometime with that hair and that shirt and those athletic little, like he's all dressed like a little athlete and he's got these broad shoulders. I was like, child, you're going to be this like big, strong, gentle giant. And I just know that the Lord is going to bless them with the most perfect wives. They're going to have the sweetest family, and I'm going to have the cutest grandkids. So, anyways, they will be police officers if that's what they want to be. They want to love and serve and protect, and they have had the foundational experiences to be able to relate to people in dire circumstances. It's so amazing. But they'll be functional police officers because I want the credit. Listen here, boys. 20 years from now, when you're 27 and 29 and you just passed police academy school, remember, almost makes me want to cry. Do you remember 2022 when we were working so hard to learn so much about how to take care of yourself and how to establish routines and how to put into practice doing your best over and over and over again? And that's what we're doing right now. I'm up to my eyeballs in helping people change the trajectory of their life 1,000th of a degree at a time. These moments matter. They're pivotal. They're trajectory changing, and I am acutely aware of that. I got so angry last night, and then I cried, and I wanted them to know that I cried. I wanted them to appreciate the severity of the situation. Their futures are at stake. So I went up to their bed. They were already in their bunk bed, already just about asleep because we live a full life. I said, boys, that was stressful, wasn't it? And they said, yes. And I said, I cried. And I knew they had cried too. And we had such a good talk. And then we prayed. And then there it was, the orange t-shirt and blue jeans that Daniel needed to wear today for his field trip. So the Lord is literally helping us. He is taking care of the details. And this is what I realized this morning when I woke up. I have not been appreciating and acknowledging the amount of stress we're in. I find myself turning to sugar to cope and think, oh, it must be because I was fasting. It must be because I was trying to count my macros. People say, how are the boys doing? They're doing amazingly well. I don't think they could be doing any better. It's just phenomenal. It's so fantastic. It is. And it's stressful. And it's phenomenal and fantastic because we are working so hard. We are in the midst of a crisis. I had a therapist describe a crisis to me years ago as simply something where life is different after than it was before. She said even having a baby is a crisis. I was wanting, and I every once in a while I want to throw myself a pity party. Pity parties are a bunch of crap. I was going to say BS, but I don't need to reference the S word so many times in one vlog. Pity parties are a bunch of crap. Pity parties might feel good to our flesh, to tap into that inner wah, our inner wah. Wah. God tells us in Philippians 2:14, do all things without complaining or arguing. Whew. It's life-changing to actually do that, to actually not complain. But he doesn't tell us that to just like be hard on us. He's like, look, surprise, surprise, if you don't let it flow, you'll feel a lot better. Don't let all that negativity flow like a pump. When you pump your well, what in the world is flowing from you? And if you pump negativity and you have so much complaining and wah, 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 number one, you're going to run out of friends because that is no fun to be around. But also, you're just going to get sick to death of yourself, just hearing the crap coming out of your mouth. When we throw ourselves pity parties, we feel pitiful. I am not pitiful. I am blessed and I know it. I keep thinking about my friend that just buried her teenage son. Perspective. Let's keep perspective. Yes, stress is stressful. And yes, we're in the midst of a crisis. And yes, we're in the midst of both acute and chronic stress. If you're human, you're dealing with chronic stress. It's stressful to be a human. It should be. You should feel stress to find a bathroom, to go potty. You should feel stress to get your belly filled. It should feel stressful to stay warm. These are like survive. It's stressful to survive. People that don't stress about it, it's called failure to thrive. Babies that don't have an appetite don't do well. So if you're human, you're experiencing chronic stress. Then there's times throughout our life where we're experiencing both chronic, long-lasting, maybe kind of like mild, mild. just chronic, just underlying, pervasive. But then there's times on top of that chronic stress is acute stress. And I don't mean cute, I mean acute. Periods of time, pregnancy, that's acute stress. Yes, it's a long time, but there's a bookend to it. There's a start and a stop, and it's on top of the chronic stress of already being human. We're experiencing chronic stress right now, acute stress, and then some self-imposed stress. Right? What in the world? Emily, people say, I don't know how you do it. They don't know how to do it because they can tell from the outside looking in, it's a lot. It's so good for me every once in a while from the inside out to say, this is a lot. And I felt it last night. I felt the allotness. It was a lot. So instead of self-imposing more stress on myself, and I know you guys are like, girl, I saw this coming a mile away. I'm like, we're adopting kids. I already have 5. I have 16 standard poodles. Aren't they cute? And then you hear me say on top of that, I think I'm going to fast. I think I'm going to try this. Oops, in the sugar again. Emily. Here's what I'm realizing. I'm in the midst of a crisis. I'm experiencing acute stress. You guys, the details. The boys are going to spend the weekend with their mother. There's some details to work out. There's nurturing and bonding and building our relationships. And then there's also the stress on me that it's worth it. I call it worth it work. There's a lot of stress in our life that's like nothing I would shove off of my plate. I keep on my plate them maintaining, and I help nurture and facilitate their relationship with their mother. But there's some logistics there to keep everybody safe and keep a lot of the things we've been working on with them. I want them to continue making progress and not regress too much, right? It's not a big deal, but it's worth considering at this point, the amount of work, the intense work we've been doing to help them learn new skills. It's a lot. There's so much to consider. I'm like almost always doing something and thinking about something, doing something and thinking about something, doing something and working out some calculus, doing some figuring on other stuff. It's just a lot. And the Lord has wired my brain to thrive in this environment. I've never been more satisfied with my work. This is my work. And I'm not even going to say it doesn't pay well, because the Lord is blessing us financially through my husband's work. And I tell him, look, every time I teach these kids a new skill, an angel got their wings. You just made $10. So I'm positive that what I'm doing is lucrative, meaning the Lord is blessing us with my husband's business so that I can clearly keep going. He's not giving me any signs of like, slow down. He's like, keep going. Maybe we'll be through the crisis after the final court hearing. Maybe we'll be through the crisis of this acute stress in a year. I don't know. I've never adopted multiple kids before and had our family acclimate to the new dynamic. This is all new. It's many, many learning curves, including their hair, which I was laughing the other day. That's a fun learning curve. We're getting good at it. I got this little twisted up comb with some hair gel. Oh, they're looking so cute. The one was like, I can't wait to go to school tomorrow. I look like I've been to the barber. I said, yes, you do. We had these little, anyways, learning curve, stress. But again, some learning curves are fun. Some are not. Oh my gosh. Some of these learning curves have not been fun. That's it. That's really the bulk of what I want to share right now. It's so healthy for me to acknowledge and zoom out a little bit and see that while I'm dealing with chronic stress and acute stress, I don't want to self-impose a bunch of stress. I want to do things. I want to be motivated by the stressors in my life that are good, that get me to get a lot done and get me to keep people safe and healthy and happy. I don't want to then pile on more. And one way I could do that is just by restricting my own calories, or trying to manipulate my own diet, or having unrealistic expectations of myself and what I'm going to accomplish, like while they're at school. If I sit in a chair and breathe in and out until I pick them up, that's progress. Because my battery might have charged a little bit. I don't want to self-impose. In fact, what I want to do is find ways to be gentle and kind with myself and appreciate, and here's the final thing for this moment, the cocoon that we're in. Cadena said this morning, we talked at length about a cocoon and how when the caterpillar is changing into a butterfly, that is just science fiction kind of stuff, but really that's backwards. Science fiction is really inspired by reality. The reality of God's creation is just mind-blowing. One of my favorite commercials is the guy out in the field, and he goes, oh, these purple flowers in the field. He said, it smells just like my bathroom. It's a Clorox commercial. And the punchline is that, no, his bathroom smells like that field of flowers. Life in reality is more amazing than science fiction. Science fiction was created by human beings taking what they can come up with and whatever their imagination can come up with. But you guys, we know so little about so little. We're on a need-to-know basis, and we don't know much. And I guarantee you, I've said this often, heaven is not full. I think I was about to say that the right way that I normally do. Hell is full. I guarantee you. There's lots and lots and lots of deep thinkers in hell that thought they were going to think it all through, when really they've been blessed with a brain that is, to say, a size of a piece of a grain of sand compared to what? We don't even know, because guess what? Out there in that big blue sky, late at night, it's dark out, there's no brick wall. Our brains cannot even begin to understand eternity and infinity. Heaven is full of people that said, wow, God, I can't deny your existence any longer. I do believe you're real. I do believe in you. I believe you did send your son, Jesus Christ, to dwell among us, to save us, show us how to get to you. I humbly surrender to the fact that I need saving. So as I was talking to the kids about the miracle that happens inside of a cocoon, and you guys, that's one of infinite miracles taking place around us all day, every day. This monarch butterfly migration, I don't know, people made documents about it. Bazillions of butterflies migrating from one state to another. The fact that God's creatures know. Matthew 6:25 says, don't worry about what you'll eat or you'll drink. And then he goes on to say, look at the sparrows. Do they store up for winter? Are they stressed? No, they're not. God has blessed us with these minds that can really complicate things. He says, don't worry about it. Literally, don't worry. He says the sparrows, I don't know what else. He talks about something else. The flowers in the field, I don't know. I think mostly the sparrow. But he's like, look, I feed them. I care for them. I will continue to meet your needs. If you don't have it, you don't need it. If it's been rough, I've allowed you to experience that. But just the monarch butterfly is hands down the best. And this is not even debatable. Okay, it is, but I just think it's the number one best illustration of 2 Corinthians 5:17. The old is gone, the new is here. We are a new creation in Christ. Literally, because we're born twice, of the flesh and of the spirit. Read John chapter 3. Get a new spirit. Nicodemus is like, what? You have to go back into your mother's womb to be born again? And Jesus is like, no, you're going to be born of the Spirit, Nicodemus. Anyways, John chapter 3, it explains a lot. And you become a new spirit with a new perspective. You can see things you couldn't see before. You feel frustrated? Maybe it's because you're blind. The Lord is keeping you spiritually blind. You can't get it because you haven't surrendered. And then once you do, literally scales, well, not literally, figuratively, scales fall off your eyes and you can see clearly. And you're like, oh my gosh, I get it. There's so much more going on than what the eye can see. There's spiritual warfare taking place around us. Whoo, and that's a force of evil, and that's a force of good, and that's a force of evil, and that's a force of good, and that's a force of death, and that's a force of life. Starts to make sense. Trust me. The miracle of a cocoon. Daniel said this morning, I said, guys, when you're in a cocoon, that's when the caterpillar is the most fragile and vulnerable, because all these changes are taking place. I mean, going from a squishy little caterpillar to like wings with structure and support and bones, a skeleton, an exoskeleton. It's just amazing. I said, if the cocoon got torn open, it would be such a devastating time for that caterpillar, because it's during the stages of development. And that caterpillar wouldn't be able to develop the same way. It's so fragile. We're so fragile when we're in the midst of change. And Daniel said, I sort of think of it like the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and changes his clothes. And I said, exactly, Daniel. I said, when you're buck naked, should you be out in public? No. Should you be at school? No. Because you're in the midst of change. You're changing your clothes, right? He said, I sort of think of it as like the caterpillar had red and green clothes on. He said, or it could be any color. He's so cute. It could be any color. And then you go in the cocoon and you change. Well, and then you put on, he said, then you put on your Halloween costume, a butterfly. So cute. I said, that's exactly right. We are in a cocoon right now. And I am so glad that God is helping me realize, helping me to make real the reality of our current circumstances, how fragile they are, how vulnerable we are, how much we have to look forward to. That's it. I wanted to share on October 27th that I'm really realizing. I think the Lord does that sometimes. I think he keeps us from realizing things. I remember after my dad had a stroke, my mom was sort of in the midst of, it seemed like the Lord was really protecting her mind because she wasn't seeing what we were seeing. I could tell she was saying, it's fine, everything's gonna be fine. And I think that was the Lord keeping her mind shielded from reality. In some ways, the Lord has done that for me. I was joking, telling a friend recently, I said, isn't God hilarious? I thought I was going to give out donuts and I got 2 kids. I didn't see that coming. And then up until this point, I think he's sort of helped us just get to work, put your head down and work, put your head down and work, put your head down and work, just work. And now I'm like, sort of lifting my head up, looking around going, like, hey everybody, I'm kind of out in public now, but I'm like, sometimes I run into church to pick them up and I don't want to make eye contact with people. I just want to get them and get out because I haven't had a shower in 3-4 weeks. And these things are okay. And these are examples of how I can be kind and gentle with myself. I don't have to be as social as I was April 23rd. I'll get there. I am there some days, but some days I'm not. I dropped them off at church last night. I sat in the parking lot, started reading my Bible, and I fell. I told Greg it was like Snow White. I fell into a deep sleep. It was like something on a Disney movie. And she fell into a deep sleep. I fell into such a deep sleep after I had just treated myself to burger patties and bacon, which I don't normally eat a big meal, in the evening like that. I just don't normally do. But I've also been thinking lately, oh, I know, I should eat when it's daylight and not when it's dark. Well, these types of rules are not being kind and gentle. right? They might be helpful, but I need to just think of them as guidelines, not hard and fast rules. I want to err on the side of energy, err on the side of nurturing, err on the side of being gentle and kind and not judgmental with myself. Not saying, Emily, you should be more friendly, you should be more social, you should be more accommodating. No, right now I want to stay faithful and obedient to the Lord, recognizing that our family is in the midst of our own crisis, and that it is not only okay, it is beneficial for all involved for us to take excellent care of ourselves, giving ourselves extra doses of TLC, recognizing that anything but reality is hypothetical. I don't need to have fantasies about how things may be different. You know, I told Greg, I was like, part of me wanted to throw this little tantrum. If we didn't have all these extra kids, I'd be on Claire's field trip with her right now. I have so many kids that I don't have the energy to go to these field trips. I have to go home and do laundry so that we can keep functioning. That's not true. That's hypothetical. If we didn't have these kids right now, I might not be here, because maybe there was some morning where Houston was taking extra long, and then by the time he got out to the car and we finally left, maybe that prevented me from being in a head-on collision. Literally, if we're going to play around with the danger zone of hypothetical scenarios, we can't make them all one-sided. We can't say all these hypothetical scenarios would have been better. The opposite is true. There's an infinite number of hypothetical scenarios that we could fantasize about being better than current reality, but there's also an infinite number of hypothetical scenarios that could have been worse. Let's stick with reality. Let's stay in reality, and let's just continue to be grateful that the Lord is leading us and guiding us through reality. He is real. He is good. He is with us. I can feel His presence. We have to be present to feel His presence. And I do. I know He's with me. I could not be doing any of this without Him. Again, I feel like the Lord has shielded me from realizing how much stress we've been under because we've been so hard at work. And now I'm to the point now where if I really want to get my eating in order and I really want to stay sober, I really need to see. We're on a need to know basis, and I think it's time. The Lord is telling me it's time you need to know that you're already under so much stress. Don't do things to add to the stress. He's like, you and I will do all we need to do to manage your current stress. Don't add to it by coming up with arbitrary rules. Now, something like BBBE, nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. I'm going to call that my prescription from Him, because He knows how good I feel when I prioritize beef and I don't fill my belly with non-nutritive carnivore stuff or tons and tons and tons of dairy. And the whole point of dairy, I watched a video last night. I know about casein, I know about casomorphin, I know about lactose, but the Lord spoke to my vanity last night because I listened to this guy that said, also, be careful with dairy if you're wanting to lose weight, which I'm in some pretty fantastic genes right now, but I would like to lose a little bit of excess fat that I'm carrying around. I definitely don't want to be adding to it. And so the Lord spoke to my vanity last night. He's like, yeah, you know about the casein, the casomorphin, but keep in mind, dairy for all mammals is designed for growth. To grow, to gain weight, to gain fat. I want to be so in tune with the Lord. And I heard on this sweet podcast last night talking about that we're supposed to be, if we're following the Holy Spirit, we're supposed to be in step with Him. I can't remember, it was chapter 5 of some book of the New Testament about being in step with the Lord. I'll put that below. Staying in step with Him. I want to be so in step with him. I can hear him tell me not only what my prescription is, but what my prescription is for the day. What he wants me doing, how he wants me doing it. Matthew 6:11, my daily bread. My daily BBBE. That I'm following certain diet plans, not because Emily is trying to get Emily somewhere, but because the Lord knows what's best for me, and he gave me this prescription. It's very good for me to realize how much stress I'm under. In some ways I've known it all along, and in some ways I just have been shielded from the awareness. And it's also so helpful to see this as a cocoon, and to see that I could be doing things that would have us sort of making premature debuts. I recently took all the kids and we visited some family, and it was extremely stressful. And looking back, I can just see so clearly it's because we, myself included, are very fragile right now. And that's not a sign of weakness. That's reality. A newborn baby in the womb is very fragile. And every great leader was at one point a very fragile baby in the womb. That's it. There are probably some girls at my house wanting to help me, and I want to go help them help me. Bye. I love you.